Hi, welcome to Beyond Sunday. I'm Brandon Walters, Reverend James King, and James, I brought some experts in today. I got Avery here and Sutton.
Yeah, I see that. Hi.
And the reason I brought them is because they have their own questions. I'm tired of asking you all the questions, so I brought in some experts who have real questions that have some real meaning to them. So,
very good.
Girls, you guys have some questions for Mr. James?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
My first question is, what is the devil made out of?
What is the devil made out of? Okay, that is a very good question, by the way. First of all, the devil is a word in the Bible that means a doer of evil, okay? And the word evil in the Bible means like trickster, somebody who's very tricky. So a doer of tricks, okay? So when somebody is a devil, that means they're a doer of tricks. So if somebody does a lot of tricks, what are they made of?
Just pranks or something?
Right. Yeah, they're full of pranks and trickiness and sneaky. That's a good word. Yeah. And so all of us have inside of us a good self, okay? But we also have what's called an ego, okay? And that ego is what is, you could say would be the devil, you know? It's just a trickster. It likes to trick us sometimes and makes us think thoughts and think that certain things are real and are, you know, that we should be doing, like a scary movie, you know? And anyway, the ego is like that. So the devil is made of tricks.
So it's sort of like the opposite of your guts, just kind of making you do the wrong thing sometimes.
Yeah. It's those thoughts in your mind that make you think, you know, bad about other people or negative thoughts about situations, you know. And so that's kind of what it's like, the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder, you know. The devil is the trickster. It's the one that says, aha, go ahead and get in the cookie jar and get that extra cookie that mom said, don't eat that.
Sometimes I just want to flick them off.
Well, there you go. That's right.
You know, James, the other day you mentioned, and I'm just jumping in there because you had said devil is actually, when you spell it, D-E-V-I-L, is actually lived backwards.
Yeah.
So it's backwards living. It's
Yes.
not living from your God self. It's living the opposite way, which I thought was a great explanation of that.
Yeah, very
Does
good.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of cool.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I learned it just the other day from Mr. James. So you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's absolutely true. You know, you turn the word around, and if you're living positively, then you're following your God self. If you're living negatively, then you're following your trickster self, your backward self, your self that doesn't know the whole truth. Make sense?
Does that make sense? Sutton, you have a question?
Yes. Could a devil harm you? Like, could it, like, hurt you?
Okay, that's a very good question. Yeah. Well, see, if we know that the devil is really people, okay, people can be doers of tricks, okay, can be tricky, can be hurtful sometimes. It can do things or say things that can hurt you. So can the devil hurt you? Yeah. I mean, like if you have a thought that, say, your sister, she took your favorite toy, okay, and then you get this thought in your mind, say, oh boy, I'm going to go get her, you know, I'm going to hit her in the shoulder. Now, where would that thought come from?
A devil.
That would come from that trickster part of your mind, see? And so you would be the doer of evil, or the devil, or the trickster in that moment. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It's a great question.
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk about that in the Bible, and a lot of people personify the devil.
Right.
And I think it gets a little confusing, so I can see where they would have questions about it. I know
Absolutely.
a lot of people have questions about that. But if you think of the devil as that ego self,
right,
the part of you that is not connected, I guess, when you're not
Yes.
connected to God.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, when you're not connected, can you hurt people's feelings? Yes. Can you hurt them physically? Sure.
Absolutely.
So that
yeah.
makes good sense.
Yeah, very good.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Okay.
What is God? Like, what is he made out of?
Okay, what is God made out of? Well, in the Bible it says that God is spirit, okay? And spirit is that invisible part of you that gives you life, okay? In other words, there's this, when you wake up in the morning, there's this sense, this feeling of being alive, okay? When you're asleep at night, it's almost like, when we're asleep, it's almost like we're in a
Different
death
dimension.
state. Yeah, right, in another altered place. And so when we wake up, we come to life, you know, and we can move our arms, we can move our legs, we can move our bodies. And it's that spirit that is inside of us that is God, okay? And God is in everything. It's what makes everything alive. It's what makes everything work like it does. Does that make sense to you? So God is in you, and you, and you, and me, and everybody. Okay? It's what makes us alive.
Wait, I got a question.
Okay.
Like, how does God make stuff happen?
How does God make stuff happen?
Like, what she's meaning to say is like, how did he make all this stuff in the world? Just kind of all the
Okay.
trees and
Good
people.
question. Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you think?
I don't know. Kind
well,
of.
that's a very good question. And I think how it came about is that at some point in the universe, everything was in spirit. Everything was invisible, okay? You couldn't see anything. And then God began to have these ideas. And he began to think about you and me and a tree and animals and planets and water and all of these things. Just began to think about them and developed a plan. And then out of the invisible, this stuff began to be shaped and formed and started to come about. And it's taken millions of years for this to happen. So, does that make sense? So, in other words, what you see out here came from the invisible. Came from God, which is spirit, which is inside of all of us. Okay?
Okay.
Make sense?
Oh, you brought a list.
Yeah,
You
that's
brought
great.
your own list. Okay, well, good. Go for it.
Like, how does God talk to us?
Okay.
Like, in our mind or something?
Yeah. Because remember when we said God is spirit and God is the life that is inside of us, okay? And so therefore, when God talks to you in here. Okay?
Also, like, he talks to you, like, anywhere?
Yeah, in your thoughts and in your feelings.
How could you, like, hear him?
Uh-huh.
Well, like, how could you hear him if he's, up there?
Uh-huh.
How could you hear him when you're...
That's a really good question because the truth is God is up there, but God is also right here. See, as we're talking, remember, God is that force or that spirit that keeps us alive, okay? And so if God is inside you and inside me, then when I need to ask God something, I just say, God, can you help me with this? Or can you tell me what to do? And then you listen real good, but you listen with more than these ears, you listen with your heart.
So
Okay.
it's sort of like, listening, like, everywhere near your head and then...
Yeah. You listen with your whole body. That's very good. You listen with your whole body. And then you also look around for signs around you. Like with one thing, if you're thinking about one thing, and then all of a sudden an answer comes through a book or through a person that you talk to or something like that, that could be God talking to you.
So,
Well, one thing Sutton has done a lot on, especially lately, is
Uh-huh.
as soon as
Yeah.
she speaks something, it happens. I mean,
Okay.
it happens right after that,
Right.
unusually,
Very good, yeah.
And I try to we talk about, I think you may have created that was you. You did that,
That's
with
right.
you and God. It's co-creation.
Daddy had some work, and I was like, I'm really bored today. Can we like go to Target or something?
Uh-huh.
And then they said no, and then later my friend Caroline,
Uh-huh.
she said, do you want to go to Target with me?
Oh, wow.
And then I asked my dad, he said yes.
Yeah, that's
She got to
great.
go to Target. It was very unusual. It was like they've never asked before, and we
Mom.
definitely weren't going, and she had never asked before like that
Uh-huh.
either. It was kind
Yeah.
of interesting.
Because her mom works there and she wanted
Yeah.
to see.
That's great.
So
Great.
things like that happen, and you talk to God, and you say you get answers, right? You say talk to God. Well, tell James about that. I think that's interesting.
Like whenever I'm in trouble or something.
Oh, do you get in trouble?
No, but like
Oh, okay.
when I can't figure something out, then I just ask for help, and then he just sort of goes through my mind,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm like, oh, okay. It's
Okay.
kind of cool.
Good.
It's like
Good.
he's like my helper.
Yeah, very good. That's excellent.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Like, is God born every day, or is he just born and he's still up there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because God is inside of you, okay, then every time you wake up, it's like God in you is reborn all over again.
My dad tells me every day is a newborn baby day.
Yeah, that's right. You get to start all over every day.
Brand new baby day.
That's
Yeah.
right. Very good. Very good.
Why did God, like, some animals aren't, you're like, oh my goodness, why are they here? Because they could hurt you or something?
Okay.
Why did he make them, why did he make them part of this world if they aren't really any use?
You mean like a lion
Or
Yeah.
a snake,
or a
Yeah.
snake?
venomous snake.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because we live in a world where there is good and then, or positive, and there's negative, okay? And so actually a snake, what they do is very positive, but they can't hurt us because they have poison. Now, a snake doesn't know that it's gonna hurt us when it, if we get too close to it, then we can
If
get
we
bit.
bother them, they bother us.
Right, if we bother them, because they kind of like to live in their own world. And so you could say that God made all of creation and made all different kinds of animals, creatures like long-necked giraffes and elephants, and frogs and all these things. And some of them hop around, some of them fly, some of them crawl on the ground, some of them slither on the ground. And that's because God likes variety. So what kind of ice cream do you like?
Peach ice cream.
Peach?
It's my new favorite. We
Oh,
got it
okay.
yesterday.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. See, you both like different things, right? So when you go to the ice cream store and you want peach and you want chocolate, well, which one do you get?
Peach and chocolate.
Well, maybe you get both. So you both can have some ice cream. And that's kind of the way it is. God puts all kinds of things out there so that we can learn about different things. See? So we can learn about how a snake does what it does and what it's all about. And so when you see a snake, though, I have learned that it's best to walk around.
Oh, yeah.
Unless I know something about them and I'm working with them, you've got to be really careful with them, right?
But snakes do, they do something that's important. And for instance, if we didn't have snakes, we'd be overrun with mice and things like that.
Right.
They help clean out the populations of certain things, otherwise we'd be overrun. Too many. And it's part of the balance of nature. That's how it all works. But I have a question from them, I think from a kid's point of view is, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Why does God let that happen?
Yeah.
Because good, sweet dogs get run over,
Yeah.
or animals, innocent animals get killed, things like that, or
Right.
babies that have diseases when they're born. Those kind of things seem ungodlike.
Not
Right.
fair.
They seem not fair. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that's because we live in a temporary world, okay? This world only lasts so long. everybody at some point is going to pass from this world and go somewhere else, okay? We're all going to die, okay? And so, if we're going to have to die, there might as well be ways for us to be able to die.
Like move
Right?
on to a new life. you
Yeah,
know,
we move
sort
into
of.
another, into a new life, absolutely.
He always says that our spirits just borrow these bodies until they're kind of old and wrinkly. And then you're like, I need a new, younger one.
There you go, that's right.
Like a
That's right.
snake shedding. So
I have a question about God.
Okay,
Could you touch him? Like, not with your feelings, but could you feel him?
yeah,
With your hand.
yeah. Can I touch your head? Okay, I just touched God.
Can I touch your leg?
Yeah,
I just touched
there you go.
Now, why
Because
did he?
God is inside of us.
Yeah.
So when you touch, things, like, I'm touching him right now, I'm touching God.
If God is a part of everything and everybody,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's part of it.
that makes it easier to touch him, doesn't it?
But I just can't believe, God's in, ceilings, It's just weird.
It's odd. It is odd.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a God is energy kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
kind of just sitting on God.
That's right.
Well,
You got
he's
your feet
supporting
on
you,
God.
isn't he?
Hi.
Yeah.
Any other good questions for you guys?
That's it. I'm out.
You're out of questions, okay. How about you, Sutton?
Could you, do you have to know what he looks like, or can you, imagine him in different ways? Red hair, brown hair.
Absolutely. Whatever way you can imagine God, that's what God looks like.
How do you imagine him?
When I look at you, I'm looking at God. When I look at you, when I look at, your
Oh, so
dad, I see God, because God is in all of us. You know what God is? God is all the good that's inside of everybody.
How do you see him?
I actually see him, or in this case, her. Ever since I was 4, I'd been seeing her as the little fairy godmother in Cinderella.
Okay.
I
all
don't
right.
know why.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at God.
How about you, Seth?
I look at God as everyone, because God's in. Well, you see that that Jesus picture over there, or I can look at him and I see still God.
What does that look like?
Well, it sort of looks. Sometimes I imagine him as glasses,
Okay.
tuxedo.
Tuxedo and glasses, nice.
That works.
I like that. I see him as, I
Sometimes-
see it as bright light, like a white light.
Yeah, surrounding you,
Or
so,
inside
so
of you.
someone if someone tries to punch you or whatever,
Not so fast.
no.
You put your white light force field around? Okay.
But if it still goes into you, then what happens?
I don't know what happens. It's your force field.
Get sponged.
It's your God bubble that you created. So what happens? I
Falls
imagine
over.
I imagine if you create a God bubble, people probably don't want to. If you're living from your
No,
God self,
touch.
people probably don't want to punch you very much.
Because
Would you agree?
Yeah, that's right.
some people are very nice, nice all the time, sort of like you. Well,
Thank you.
sort of,
Sort of.
because you fight with me, and I fight with you. But I imagine, Nina,
Grandmother?
really nice, because
Yes.
she always well, everyone's.
She spoils you. Well, now would you say when people are being nice, are they more connected to God or not?
Well, some people that are bad are connected still, but they don't
Right.
think sort of good thoughts.
Right.
And that's because they're
That's
listening
right.
to their trickster mind, the devil, so to speak.
The devil.
And that came all the way back around, didn't it?
Yes,
It
it
came all the
did.
way back around. That was a very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. So we're going to wrap this up. Do you guys have any more questions?
Nope.
All good? Feeling good?
Well, yeah,
maybe you have one more? All right, we'll ask him.
All right, what's your question?
Like, can God, touch you in feelings?
Yes, yes. In fact, that's how God touches you whenever you laugh. That's God touching you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Whenever you feel love, that's God touching you. Whenever you are peaceful, that's
like
God touching you.
crying.
Whenever you cry.
Oh, so I feel him all the time.
Exactly. Very good.
You know, I've also heard that when you're laughing, like laughter is the purest form of expression of God.
Because like.
That's when you're being your
Yeah,
God self, and He's
no,
really showing up. Is when you get really giggly and hysterical. Doesn't that feel great?
Yes.
That is pure God right there.
That's
Video of
right.
McDonald's like.
Yeah, I know you get to go as well. If you have more questions, we'll write them down. We'll come back and do this in several weeks down the road, and we'll see if you got some more interesting questions for Mr. James and see if he can help you understand some
Great
things.
questions.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
It's always good to come from a kid's perspective.
Absolutely. It's
And
wonderful.
so there it is from the mouths of the babes, and we will do it again because this has been actually very educational for
Yes,
me too to
me
hear
too.
how they think and talk
Absolutely.
and act. And if you've got some questions that you'd like the Reverend James to take a shot at, I'll put it that
We'll
way.
always take a shot.
Take a shot at. Please send them in. Where can they send them?
Send them to unitygreenville@yahoo.com.
unitygreenville@yahoo.com. Send your questions in, and we'll ask them, and we'll find out. We'll find out the real
We'll talk
story.
about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll chat. We'll chat.
We'll talk.
So hopefully you enjoyed this, and we will see you next time. Thanks, James. Thanks, girls.
Thanks, guys.